Hi, and welcome to the SparcStart TA Leader Series, where we have the privilege of talking to some of the leading people in the industry about their successes, about questions they're asking, about new approaches they're taking. And today I'm thrilled to have Rachel Duran with me. Rachel, would you introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. Thanks, Maury. I'm Rachel Duran. I am the global lead for recruitment marketing and employer brands at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise.
Great. And you've been in the business for a long time. You've got a tremendous reputation because of the things you've innovated. But what I'm really interested in right now is you're really looking at agility, not just in recruiting, but in recruitment marketing. What does that mean and why is it important?
Right. So, as you said, we've been looking at agility and recruiting as an industry for a long time. How can we move people in and out, resources in and out very quickly? But I think with the unpredictability of the market, forces, and political forces, and all of these things seem to change every single day. And one thing I've noticed coming from an ad agency background is we're not as agile in recruitment marketing as we could be as a whole, including myself. I had to bring up some old philosophies for thinking through this about how can we react really, really quickly to these market changes, the changes in demand for the jobs, while also keeping those always on campaigns around employer brands, because you don't want to cut those off. And just from a business acumen standpoint, I think it's the way to go because you have to be able to react from a budget perspective too. How can you pull in and out on those resources? And so I think just building that strategy instead of looking at, all right, what are all the year long, 2 year long, 3 year long commitments we need to re-sign and reevaluate? We really need to be looking at how many levers can I have to pull when things ramp up really quickly, ramp up in a certain area or part of the business really quickly, and what can I ramp down really quickly when needed. And that agility really shows that business acumen and be able to provide the needs of the business, because recruiting and recruitment marketing all a cost center. We don't necessarily bring money into the business, so we have to show how we're being flexible.
So that probably means you don't blow your budget on one 2-minute hero video that you're going to live with for a couple of years.
Right,
Uh,
exactly. So not just ads, right? How do we, and also just looking at smart strategy, especially the age groups and the user experience they're used to in any other platform that they use on a daily basis. They don't want those big sparkly videos for everything, especially social media. So user generated content is already the way to go. And since video is very expensive to produce when it's these big, shiny, glossy features, it really is a smart lever to pull to say, how do we ramp up user generated content? Because that can move very, very quickly when you need it to, when you're set up for success to do so. And then how can we pull back from it if we don't have as much time to, edit and produce videos?
and it makes perfect sense because depending on where you have needs in hiring, whether it's location, whether it's type of position, being able to be agile there and say, okay, we need to attract tech people, we need to attract warehouse people, we need to attract whatever, you're going to have a different take on your message. Hopefully your messaging is consistent, but what it means to one particular audience can change. So I love that flexibility there. But is it realistic with now everybody buying these big tech products that take, sometimes a year to implement and everybody wants multi-year contracts? Can you really do it?
Well, that's where I think the discernment comes in, right? As you are going to have some contracts you have to sign for the year. So looking at what is the base that I need to have in and applying that to the philosophy of I'm going to have a base budget, a base solution stack for even if hiring is at its lowest, because we constantly have to have an always on employer brand running. Um, Even if you just look at it pragmatically at the algorithms and how they work on social media and ad platforms, it doesn't make a lot of sense to turn that off and on constantly. You have to have some kind of content going out, even if it's organic, or you lose some of that, advantage you had. And search engine optimization is another great example of that. So I think that you have to say, here's the base level that it costs us to keep an always on employer brand strategy. And then on top of that, here are my very easy levers to pull. And even educating your internal leadership to say, hey, when we're at 100%, 75%, 50%, or 110%, 150% of our typical hiring signal or workforce planning for whatever reason, I can support that. My team can support that. And here's how. At this level, I would pull these levers. At this level, I would pull these levers. Already have that plan in place when you're presenting that kind of a budget, because I think a lot of times people see a flexible budget and they're like, oh no, that can get really high really quick. So you have to have some controls and parameters around it for sure.
Rachel, you're trying to manage recruitment marketing like it were a business function.
At the end of the day, it really is.
Yes.
It's so pertinent to the overall brand too, right? Everything that we do in employer brand and recruitment marketing can impact the way that people in the market see your business as a whole. I'm lucky that it's a little bit separated for audiences in a B2B sort of situation like I'm in at HPE. But I've done this work for consumer product brands too, and it's a huge impact. So it is important to treat it like a business unit and have that same business acumen.
Yeah. And the other advantage, while you say you don't actually hire anyone, I think one of the things that happened after COVID is senior management understood if they didn't have employees in place, they couldn't grow the business. They couldn't execute their plans. And that drove it home. I've been a little disappointed that TA didn't step up and maintain the seat at the table that they had for a while. For a while, they were talking to the CEO every day. And unfortunately, I don't think they had the metrics they needed to continue to have that conversation. But that isn't completely lost. And they do understand without people, they don't fulfill their objectives. So yeah, you really are. You're not just a cost center. You're all that
Right,
more than that.
exactly. And this is, I hate to admit it, but I will for the sake of everyone listening today. But even after being an employer brand and having the reputation that I've had for a decade, this is really something that I've been challenged to learn and level myself up on too. Right? Is how am I educating? How am I bringing everyone, on my talent acquisition team into the fold so that they feel confident when they do have those times at the table that they're able to express that, leverage that recruitment marketing, business acumen as part of the overall talent acquisition business acumen. And that helps all of us be more successful as a recruiting department.
Yeah, it absolutely does. So, Rachel, as you know, you and I can talk all day, and we have at times as we get going on this. But I want as many people to see this as possible because I think it's really important. It's important to think about your area of expertise and recruitment marketing as a business function. Everything from, yes, what are your levers? What are the things you need to focus on? How can you turn things on and off? How can you be more agile? And then how can you educate your management for all of this? So I think it's really important. I assume you're open if people want to reach out to you on LinkedIn, if they want to have more conversation about how you're thinking about this and what you're doing. Is that fair to say?
It's absolutely fair to say. I'm pretty good about checking my LinkedIn messages when I'm not slammed with things. So definitely send me a LinkedIn message, and I do try to check it every week or every 2 weeks. So it might take me a minute, but I love when I do have time. I love going through my messages, setting up time with people. I think that it's really pertinent for all of us to have that knowledge sharing, and share our experiences. Then I have instances when I need it too, right? Especially with really specific markets and challenges. So I'm always open. Just send me a LinkedIn message.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. And I hope everyone takes a view up on the advantage because there's a lot of expertise here. Thanks, Rachel. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mari.